Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Built Like This podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, on episode 347. Hello, hello, hello. Let's get into these topics. I have so much to discuss. Denzel. We were this close. We were this close to have you retire from acting and leave on a note where there was no history of gay roles in your historical acting legacy. And of course, just a few days ago, it's been revealed by him. He didn't need to say anything, but by him, he decided to share that in his latest movie, Gladiator 2, he actually had a gay kiss in the movie. And apparently, because of his character, he had to deliver a kiss of death. And that was the reason behind the gay kiss. And he said verbatim, and I'm looking on my other screen, so that's why I'm looking over here. He said verbatim, I actually kissed a man in the film, but they took it out, they cut it, and I think they got chicken. I kissed a guy full on the lips. And I guess they weren't ready for that yet. I killed him about 5 minutes later. It's Gladiator. It's the kiss of death. Now, he made sure to tell us it wasn't a kiss on the cheek. It wasn't something light like that. It was a full-on kiss on the I mean, did you French him down too, Denzel? I mean, why did you have to like, did you go down? Like, what happened? They're all gay at this point. They're all gay. They're all gay. Him, everybody. Who's next? Idris Elba. I mean, are you next? Damn. Anyway, so we assume this may be a sense of humiliation rituals or something of that sort. I don't know. Nonetheless, he kissed a man. I was gonna say he liked it. But he kissed a man, and it was due to this scene, apparently. Uh Look, I mean, yes, he's an actor, but I just feel like there's a history of Black men in media, albeit acting or in the music industry, in which they have gone through moments in which they are presenting a homosexual lifestyle. And yes, we know obviously there are Black people who are gay. That's not what I'm missing here. I think the point here is there is an intentional buck breaking movement that has been had for years against Black men, against heterosexual Black men. So when you see someone like a Denzel, just the name Denzel, I remember being younger and I was like starting in my teaching career, and I would finally come across a person named Denzel. It was a student of mine, like some kid. And I was like, Denzel? Like, do you know who the fuck Denzel Washington is? Like, how dare you have his name? Do you know who Denzel is? Same thing with Aaliyah. Some names I feel like are reserved in a tank for me, in a vault of some sort. Like, no one else should have those names, because I feel like they, for me at least, they exemplify a certain level of class, of grace, of strength. And sure, as a parent, you may think, well, that's why they named their child. I don't give a fuck. Are you then? Only Denzel Washington I recognize as Denzel Washington. Okay? So I hate me, but I don't care. It was an 8-year-old kid too, this little boy. And I was like, Denzel. Anyway, yeah, don't come around me if your name is Denzel and it's spelled the same way. Don't come around me if your name is Aaliyah and it's spelled the same way. I don't, there's only one. Same thing for Beyonce. Like, there are certain names, again, that should be reserved and held in a vault. Like, they should be trademarked at this point. And if someone dares to name their child that, they should get fined. They should be pressured to change the name. I'm serious. Like, some names should just be reserved. Like, what are we doing? You better add an A at the end, Denzella, if it's a girl, or I don't care, but don't do that. Don't do that. Anyway, but yeah, there's a history. There's an intentional movement against heterosexuality, particularly for Black men in the media. So whenever you see a Black man who exemplifies masculinity in its authentic form, not this shaming of masculinity that we are often presented with because no one wants a man to be a man, right? In this new age, there's this presentation of, oh, if you're a man, then you're toxic. Oh, if you're a man, you're aggressive, you're misogynistic. And it's like, no, he's a man. Stop feminizing our men, especially our Black men who are known for being men, who are known for being strong and sure of themselves and established and all of these great things. So when you see examples of that being teared down, being torn down, I find it to be very, very much disappointing. Okay, that's just me. Maybe I'm being extra, but I look at things more than what beats the eye. Okay, but anyway, shout out to Denzel. In my head, he is always the same man from Training Day. Oh, he looks so handsome then. The same man from the Preacher's Wife. Oh, remember that movie? Like, oh, there's so many great examples of him just being charming. I mean, obviously not in Training Day, he wasn't charming, but like, he had this attractiveness in that role, you know, just this strong masculine figure. I mean, yes, he was corrupt. I'm not saying men need to be like that, but I'm saying just the aesthetic alone is enough. All right, so yes, Denzel decided to share with us. I don't know why he needed to share. Like, if they cut it out the scene, why are you talking about it? Like, what? I don't understand why people talk. Like, when scenes are cut, they're not available for us to see anymore. So it'll be one thing if the scene was still present in the movie and he's telling us, hey, this is something that you may be startled with and it's gonna come up. It's a brief second and it was in relation to my role and it makes sense in the storyline, you know, then that's something else. It makes sense in the plot. But that's not the case. Like, we were never going to see this. We were never going to picture in our minds Denzel kissing a man full on the lips. So you going out of your way to tell us, I felt like, I don't know, you know, this inversion agenda that Hollywood has is intentional and is definitely a way for us to normalize men not being men and being more woman-like. Okay, so there's that. That's my opinion. Moving forward, let's talk about oh, hold on, let me play some of these sounds. I downloaded some sounds on this platform. Now I suddenly can't find it. Hold on. Let's see if I can find it. Anyway, we'll continue. Okay, so there's that. Let's talk about Shaquille O'Neal. So he was on Angel Reese's podcast. Angel Reese is a rising star in the basketball world in WNBA. And she's being recognized more and more for her skills, for her athletic abilities. and for her beauty. She's a beautiful woman. She's tall, like she stands out. Of course, she's a basketball player. Of course, she's super tall. And of course, she is skilled. So there's so many things that is making her show up as a standout star. She now is not only a basketball star, but she's making a name for herself out of the WNBA. And she's I feel like she's creating a perception of herself that is sexy and fun and kind of like a 304 type of girly, if you know what I mean. Suddenly, I'm seeing more of her body in a sexualized manner than what I'm used to from WNBA players. I don't really see them as sexy people, or like they don't come off as such because they're sweating, their hair is in a messy ponytail, or they're running around trying to score a 3-pointer. I don't see them barely dressed in a booty short type of outfit. So seeing Angel Reese break that stereotype, I do find it a bit jarring. And I'm wondering, is she as focused about her career in the WNBA as she needs to be? Or is she getting caught up in the fame and the attention of being this beautiful woman? And is she getting the wrong attention? Like sometimes people get caught up in the wrong attention and they find it pleasing to their ego. So I'm going to show you guys a clip of her on her podcast with Shaquille O'Neal as her guest. And Shaquille got a lot of slack for this because it appears as if he was looking at her in a manner that was inappropriate. And considering he is very much older than her, and he may be a mentor to her, right? Like he is a basketball legend. So to have him say certain comments while on the show may have rubbed some people the wrong way. I'm gonna go ahead and play a brief clip.
Bro, imagine you.
I'm not imagining.
Let me finish. Imagine you in the same little shirt you had on at the Wild and Out show, Duncan. You know how many t-shirts you gonna sell, cuz? You tripping.
Oh my
what?
God.
What?
Oh God.
The same little shirt you had on.
Okay. So I'm gonna play it one more time because you didn't hear it.
Okay. All right.
Duncan,
all right.
Bro. Billy the Dunk. Bro, imagine you.
I'm not imagining.
Let me finish. Imagine you in the same little shirt you had on at the Wild and Out show, Duncan. You know how many t-shirts you gonna sell, cuz? You tripping.
Oh my
what?
God.
What?
Oh God.
The same little shirt you had on.
Okay. All right.
Duncan,
Bro.
Okay. So he's saying, imagine you creating some merch. You creating a brand about this aesthetic you are suddenly presenting of yourself. These booty shorts, you'll be making a lot of money from it. This is a good...
Bro, imagine you.
I'm not imagining.
Let me finish. Imagine you in the same little shirt you had on at the Wild and Out show, Duncan.
Yeah, this will be a good brand opportunity. And he's speaking in a manner of business here. And as you can see from this clip, the image of her in those booty shorts. And this is her apparently at a Wild and Out event. And this is what she's wearing. Now, yes, she's a grown woman. Okay. And the top of the outfit, at the top of the outfit, like if you only, it just looks like she's not fully dressed. Like it looked like an outfit you will wear at home before you're about, like a home outfit, right? Like a lounge outfit. So the top looks very conservative, put together, but at the bottom, and then she's wearing Uggs. It just didn't make sense to me. The outfit doesn't make sense. You see the booty cheeks hanging. And here's what I want to point out about that. Let me pause it. What I find to be delusional about women sometimes is not the idea of, oh, you're blaming the victim and da-da-da. No. You are going to get the attention that you're dressed for. Of course, a man, any man, oh, he has to be a respect. No. You are flashing your butt crack, your ass cheeks in men's faces. Okay, look at that woman right here. This woman from Wild, I don't know her name, but I remember seeing her often. She's a figure at Wild 'N Out. Even her, she's positioned in a manner that's showing, damn, look at that ass. You don't think these men here immediately notice that too? So this idea of, oh, well, men should have more no, it's not about self-control. I'm not saying they should grab her and, pin her down. No, that's not at all what I'm saying. So please don't be obtuse here if that is what you're about to go into. What I'm saying is you cannot be surprised when men look and gawk, even stare you down, if you are wearing an outfit like this. If your butt cheeks are hanging out like this, you cannot be surprised. I just want to know what you're wearing. What are you wearing? I remember I was out at, I don't know, some bars. Me and my boyfriend, we went to some bar. It was like some chain restaurant. And there was a theme. I think it was some type of theme going on. And the waitress, she came out just barely dressed. Barely. And I'm like, hello? Barely dressed. Was I going to be mad that men are looking, or maybe my man was looking? I don't really care about that. But what the point was, she couldn't have been mad if people were gawking at. Even I found myself staring like. Now, of course, I remember being younger and learning that you shouldn't stare. So I'm aware of how long I stare at people. I still sometimes fail at that because I get so caught up in just people watching. Nonetheless, why are you dressed in a manner as such and thinking that people won't stare you down? So when people were mad at Shaq for saying, basically, for recognizing her outfit and what she wore, and because her reaction right here, if you could see here, make sure you are watching this on YouTube, okay, and you are subscribed. For people to be upset that, oh, well, Shaq is being inappropriate here. He's old enough to be her dad. No, he's giving her some wisdom here. Like, hey, look, if you're going to dress like this, you might as well make this into an additional stream of income. You might as well profit off of this. I don't know if he said further in this interview because I didn't watch the whole thing, but I don't know if he said further in the interview things that maybe led to him coming off as if he was giving, putting on some advances. So I don't think he was. But at the very least, he was telling her, look, I saw what you wore. And if you're going to wear things like that continuously, which she has, there are other examples in which she is wearing outfits that are barely clothed. Barely clothed. There's no reason to be dressed as such. Okay, that's not her. I don't know who this is. But the point is, again, we cannot be surprised. And again, this is not a license for men to start, touching her inappropriately. That's not what I'm asking. That's not what I'm advocating. All I'm saying is we cannot be surprised if a man is recognizing and seeing a woman barely dressed and that woman is right in front of them. We cannot be surprised. And hell, we can't be surprised if a man is saying, hey, if you're going to dress like this, you might as well make this into an opportunity that you can monetize from. That's my opinion. So I don't think he did anything wrong here. I don't think he is showing toxic masculinity, all that bull crap. I don't think so at all. Let's move on. Speaking of men, and what is a man or what is a woman, right? Let's get into President-elect Trump. I wish I could find the applause button. Hold on. It's somewhere. There we go. Let's get into Trump. We did it, Joe. Okay, so yes, Trump is again our president, or soon to be. Inauguration will be happening in January, but he is our president-elect as of now, or period. You know, that's what I'm saying. He has been presenting his plans and his agenda moving forward once he gets into the White House and once he is officiated as our president once again. In this clip that I'm about to play, we're going to focus on one of the things that he is focusing on, and that is gender affirming care and the BS that it is and has been under Biden's administration. You know, that gender affirming care, you know, oh, if my 3-year-old feels like a girl and he's a boy, now he's a girl now. No, it's called child abuse. That's what it's called. It's called neglect. It's called parents getting caught up in the mental illness that is trying to be woke and falling victim to the popularity that comes with that. So I'm going to transform my child into this robot. You know, I'm going to play dress up with my child and convince my child that she's really a she rather than a he. So I'm going to play this clip of Trump's video message to us all, to us Americans. And we're going to get into what he says here about gender affirming care.
Left-wing gender insanity being pushed on our children is an act of child abuse.
Isn't that what I said? It is an act of child abuse. We need to protect the children.
Very simple. Here's my...
It is very simple. There's no other way to put it. There's no confusion about it. It's clear as day. We have to stop apologizing for wanting to change the era and the ways of the left-wing party.
I plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female.
Period. No longer are we subscribing to the Zer, the Zix, the Mix, the mental illness that has become encouraged in our society. We have to put an end to it. And I'm glad that this is one of the top movements or propositions and plans that President-elect Trump is putting forth. This is something that is harming our society as a whole. Seriously, people think, oh, it's not a big deal and we should more focus on groceries. We could do all things at once. We could cut it out. We could do all things at once. We can. That's why you have a team. That's why you have a cabinet. That's why you have a system in place to do all things at once. You know, there's a department for that is fixated on that. There's a time frame. There are set policies put in place to focus on said matter. So this is just very much important as any other thing. But I'm glad that he is naming it what it is. I'm mad that it has been so long under this BS, under this illness that we've been on, this spell, really. You know, Leah Thomas being a man but identified as a woman, and because she identifies as such, and even me saying she for he is ridiculous, but because she identifies as such, now she's swimming and competing alongside women in the swim Olympics, and she's beating them. How so? Because men are bigger and stronger generally than women. And prior to this transition, he was a male swimmer. He was competing against men, and he was barely making much success from that. He was in like the bottom hundreds or whatnot. But of course, when he's swimming against women, he's the top-notch swimmer. Oh, you know, like he's moving at a disadvantage or more an advantage in his favor than is in the favor of the women who are rightfully there. So this idea of like, oh, just encouraging and affirming genders because, oh, I feel like it. No, this is abuse. We are normalizing child abuse, and it's sick. It's sickening. So I'm glad that this is a top priority for Trump. I'm glad that he is speaking out and speaking strongly against it. More of this needs to happen. And it's sickening. It's sickening. You know, it's like someone who suffers from eating disorders, and we're encouraging this dysmorphia. You know, oh, yeah, you really do look fat. Oh, so now this person who struggles with bulimia, who struggles with just self-perception, is going to feel more encouraged to puke after every meal, to barely eat, to have calorie restrictions. This is the same thing. When we are normalizing child abuse in this manner, when it comes to gender affirming care, we're allowing doctors and clinics and physicians and whomever else is capable of mutilating your child. We are allowing that to happen more and more. We are allowing children to take these hormone blockers and not letting them grow in their God-built way, in their God-created way. Now, children are growing up to have these health problems, are growing up sterile and unable to have children if they so choose, but they don't even have the option anymore because when they were a child, they were put under this abuse. There were adults around them who weren't protecting them, and now they're facing the consequences for that. So it's more than time for Trump to speak out against this demonic movement that is gender affirming care, and to finally set policies and procedures and whatever else needed in our society, in our country, to make sure children are protected. Now, when you get older, and if you still feel that way, because I don't think necessarily transgenderism is not a thing, but I don't think it's as common as it's presented to be in these recent years. I don't think it's as just everyday thing. There are more people now suddenly presenting as transgenders than they were many years ago. Why is that? It's the society that we're in that is encouraging this mental disorder. It's a disorder. And there was something else that I remember watching the Joe Rogan Experience, and he mentioned a term of men who dress as women are called. There's an actual agoraphobia, something like, it's more than a transvestite, but it's there's a name for it. It's not drag queen. Let me type in mental disorder. There's a name for it. Someone wrote down transvestic disorder. No, it's something agoraphobic, something. What is it called, dog? DS oh, I think I found it. Yes, I was right. Yeah, okay. Autogenophilia. It is, according to the DSM, which is a Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. It's a mental disorder. Autogenophilia is when you have gender dysphoria, meaning it is described as a potential characteristic of someone experiencing gender dysphoria, particularly in the context of a male to female transition, okay, where the individual is sexually aroused by the thought of themselves as a woman, the thought. So they get off on just the idea of being a woman, the idea of playing dress up as a woman. However, the DSM-5 significantly disemphasizes its discussion compared to previous versions where it is more prominently mentioned. But nonetheless, it is listed. It is listed in the DSM-5. Again, it's autogenophilia. Autogenophilia. Or is it gyno? No. Yeah, genophilia. I'm right. Yeah. Sexual arousal by thoughts, images of self as a female. So just think of it as it's transvestic disorder. It's just another name for it. But yeah, autogenophilia is more professional. But yes, it's having intense sexual. What was that president who cross-dressed? President, wasn't it the one in the wheelchair? President who cross-dressed. Oh yeah, J. Edgar Hoover, Jefferson Davis, George Washington. I didn't know that. But historians have debunked the claims about Hoover, and there is little evidence to support the claims about Washington and Dave. Okay, well, nonetheless, I remember hearing about J. Edgar Hoover cross-dressing. That has been a long time rumor. But now all of a sudden historians are saying that that is not true. I don't know. Things were different back then, things were definitely different back then. But I could have sworn it was factualized that J. Edgar Hoover was a cross-dresser. So yeah, maybe he had specifically autogenophilia. Anyway, let's continue with the rest of the plans President-elect has for the American people, which I definitely think it is necessary for us to just, affirm and discuss. Let me go ahead and go to that next link. Again, make sure you are supporting this podcast by subscribing to the YouTube channel, following us on Instagram, and leaving a positive review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
Recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. Under my leadership, this madness will end. Thank you very much. A bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. Under my leadership, this madness will end. Thank you very much.
Okay. And that is one of the reasons why I voted for him. Because this is definitely an epidemic that needed to be stopped. And I'm glad this is being discussed. All right. So anyway, yeah, all these comments are in agreement. Well, most of these comments, at least. I don't want a man calling himself a woman in the bathroom with my daughter. He said nothing wrong, and I said what I said. Don't nobody at me. And let's get into Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner, we know her as formerly Bruce Jenner, formerly the husband of Kris Jenner, formerly the father of the Kardashians. I mean, technically, he is still their father, and biological father of Kendall and Kylie Jenner. But now he is a trans woman, and he has recently come out as an anti-advocate for anyone who is trans. He says verbatim, "I wouldn't wish it upon anyone." And he says, quote, "I am not a trans advocate. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone, but I am a trans person." So a lot of people, of course, who are in the LGBTQ plus IA community feel offended by this statement and has been offended by her for quite some time, ever since she came out as a proud Trumper or proud Republican. She said a lot of comments that may be in contradiction to what people expected from her. You know, considering that she's trans and she is like full on trans. I mean, I don't know if she cut off her dick or anything, but nonetheless, she is standing strong in her transness. People assume that she would be more of an advocate for everyone in the party, everyone in the party of LGBTQ plus IA community. But that is not the case here. And I think what she's pointing out is just because I am this doesn't mean I support this, if that makes sense. Like, I think she's saying here she wouldn't want to have been I don't think she's saying that she wanted to be this. She just is this, right? She just happens to be a trans person, but it is not a lifestyle that she wished she would have had to experience. She probably wished she was just a regular, heterosexual man, but she couldn't live under that facade anymore. She transitioned much later in her life, and it was very much a shock for all of us to take in. So for her to say that it is not in her interest to support, to advocate trans people in the community, it is quite shocking. She also says here, after Trump has been reelected as president, she says here that hope is back in America. These two men, referring to Trump and Elon Musk, who has been appointed in Trump's cabinet, these two men will single-handedly save Western civilization, and that starts with a strong USA. I am here and at your service and forever indebted to your sacrifice for this country. Let's make America great again. And same thing for this woman named Blair White, who was born as a man and is now transitioned to a woman. I think she's like fully transitioned. But anyway, she is very much a right winger, a conservative, and again, she ruffles a lot of feathers because of her right wing beliefs. But I do find it complimentary, or what's the word? I do find it very I find it exemplary. I really do. I think it takes strength to stand in your opinion, regardless of what people think you should believe. So, okay, yeah, Caitlyn Jenner is a trans person, but that doesn't mean she just get along with everything that in the LGBTQ community. There are old school gays who is not with the shits in the community, who feel like things have gotten way too far and they are not in favor of affirming genders for children. They are not in favor of mutilating children. They are not. And I find that to be something to commend. Absolutely. So, like Iyanla Vanzant says,
not on my watch. Not on my watch.
I hope the sounds are clear for y'all, because once I realized I could add some sounds on this platform, y'all, just forever. Y'all gonna get sick of me. Remember that meme? Oh, so-and-so hates to see me coming, or Suppress hates to see me coming. You know, whatever it is. That's just so funny. All right, let's get into Amanda Seales. So Amanda Seales has decided to get off of Instagram because y'all are bullying her, and it's too much. And look, I respect doing what you need to do to protect your mental health. So though I have gotten on Amanda Seales time and time again, there are things about her that I do appreciate. I appreciate her standing on her shield. I do appreciate her being bold enough to say, hey, I'm going to speak up regardless of what people think. And I find that to be commendable. Absolutely. So I see nothing wrong with some of the things that she says, especially about her calling out Kamala and not being a shill like many of her counterparts, including Charlemagne the God. So I don't see anything wrong with that. And I'm glad that she is doing what she needs to do to protect her mental health. I find that to be necessary, of course. So she is encouraging her followers and anyone else who wants to know what she's doing to join her on Patreon, which is a paywall protected platform. So basically, whoever is there are most likely her supporters, and she doesn't want to have to continue to engage with folks who are jumping at her and making her feel unwanted. Instead, everyone there will be actually people who appreciate her and most likely agree with her. So Amanda Seales has some words to say after Kamala Harris's loss. Kamala, that's it. Kamala Harris's loss of the election. And this is what she had to say. I'm going to go ahead and play this clip and we're going to talk about it.
And win an election.
Let me do it again.
And win an election. It's just what it is. They might, have some tricks up their sleeve and whatever the fuck, but can't be a black woman running like a white man and win an election. Not for the real ones, at least. Not for the real ones. Not for the ones that actually know what the fuck we're talking about. Yeah, her base, Sticky, her base. Yeah, you can't run and ignore your base. Your base are the people who are not. It wasn't, you can sit here and say, oh, it was Latino women and white women, but what you're ignoring is the fact is that there are bunches and bunches and bunches of people who simply did not vote. Yes, and a lot of her bases voted for Trump because she did not give them anything interesting to vote for. Obvious is that there were incredibly large swaths of people that begged to be seen. That begged to be seen. And they were ignored. He's speaking to all of those people. Let me speak to all the people that he's forgetting. Let me make them feel home. Let me make them feel safe. Many of you watching right now, you're going to have to be forced to wake up in these next 4 years and realize that it's not just about fucking you. You're going to be forced to realize that the only way that this person and this faction, this fascism, this version of fascism, because it's all fascism.
Okay, let's stop there. Stop. People, I feel like she got me until that point. I don't think Trump is a fascist. I don't think, it's just annoying. People be learning new words and that's all they use. You know, narcissism, if I say that right, fascism. Just shut up. Not everything is narcissist. Not every man you've dated is a narcissist. Not every leader who's not democratic is a fascist. Not everyone is a dictator. No, people just have opposing beliefs. That doesn't make them suddenly Hitler-like. Okay, and then we'll have a conversation about Hitler at some point, but that's a whole different conversation. Shout out to Freckles Bay. Beat me to game so much, but yeah, cut it out. But anyway, I agree with what she's saying for the most part here. What Amanda Seales said here about Kamala Harris's loss. You can't be at least presenting as a Black woman. I know this idea of like, you know, she's not really Black. She is Black. She's half Black. Her father's Jamaican. Look, she's Jamaican. Look, she's AKA. Okay. But what I find to be interesting, like I said before in the previous episode, where are her line sisters? Are they all not here? Like, did they all just suddenly disappear? Where are they? I don't know. That just finds so fascinating to me. You would think someone from her AKA sorority, someone from her line could attest to Kamala Harris being who she is, or, oh, she's someone who's always passionate about the world and making it a better place. Like, there was no one speaking up about her. All we know of Kamala Harris is I was a little bit familiar with her sister, who is apparently an activist and known for some work that she's done or still does in North Carolina. I remember Charlamagne the God mentioned Kamala Harris's sister. So I think there's some type of like, you know, what's that saying? Every six wing. This is something about, you know, every six person. Everyone knows the sixth person in their life. Something like that. Forgot. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But that's the point. Okay, the point is we don't know much about her. Like, who's her mom? Who's her dad? Are they gone? And yes, she released a book, but I don't know if the contents in that book was actually true. Like, we don't know much about her. And I think it would have served to her advantage had she sat with Joe Rogan like Donald Trump did. Like, we've known Donald Trump for so long. He was beloved by many of us from the Black community, beloved and adored and admired and put on a pedestal Donald Trump because he was getting money, right? He was this symbol of a man who was successful, and he spoke it like he walked it, right? He walked it like he talked it, whatever. And we love his show, You're Fired. You know, he just spoke very straight. Yet with Kamala Harris, she couldn't put a sentence together. She never made sense. She was unburdened by what has been. So had she sat with Joe Rogan, had she really given us an insight of who she is, what she's about, and not these fractured sentences and just these false presentations of self, maybe she would have had a better chance. I don't think it's this easy response of, oh, well, it's because she's a woman, that's why she didn't win. No, cut it out. It's because she's Black, that's why. No, it's because she was not well suited for the role. It's because every time a question was asked of her about her plans and her agenda and how to combat this or that, she did not give a clear answer. She didn't make any sense. And there are compilations of videos available that you can find online of what I'm saying to be true, okay? Of her not making any sense and having this word salad and being unburdened by what has been and coming from a middle-class family. Don't nobody give a fuck. Nobody give a fuck. All right, let's end it off with Lamar Odom, who is normalizing having sex with dolls. Yes, this man, this human being is finding pleasure, intentional plans to create sex dolls, or no, he's ordering custom sex dolls that range from $8,000 to $20,000. And he says, quote, I can see her from the front. He wants his sex doll to look and appear as his former wife, Khloe Kardashian. And it's just sickening. The times that we're in right now, this is what's happening. Instead of men and women being in relationship, in unity, in harmony with each other, there are men finding themselves more comfortable with plastic things, getting off on that, marrying that. I think I talked about a case in which a man actually married a doll. You know, like, we've come so far off, completely far off in this society that this is what's happening. And same thing with women. Women are choosing to be single and be in relationship with their vibrators. They rather have dildos upon dildos and actually be in relationship with men. It's sick. The division that we are experiencing in this society is so dangerous. And it's time for us to really wake up and realize we're better together than we are apart. We're better in relationship together. This division, this agenda that is had against us, we have to really rise above it. So anyway, I just say this to say, don't buy sex dolls and have sex with your man and your woman, right? Be in relationship with actual human beings, not sex dolls. All right, hopefully we could get this video monetized. Said a lot of triggering words, and I'm hoping things don't get flagged. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you are telling a friend to tell a friend about this podcast. That is your way of supporting me. And I appreciate every and any kinds of supports. So that looks like liking this video on YouTube, subscribing to this channel on YouTube, leaving a positive review on the platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And that is all. I will check in with you all next time. Peace.